welcome guys to a new corner of the ICONOCLAST, which will be called Casual Competitive. So we will discuss here some topics that are not casual enough to be not considered competitive, but not competitive enough to be considered strictly casual. My name is Vitalis. And guys from the podcast allowed me to gave me 5 minutes of the time to speak about some of my topics. So welcome to Competitive Casual, and let's go. So for today I have two topics to discuss. First of all, we'll be talking about recent Master Tournament, GT tournament in Bydgoszcz. And the second topic, we will talk about some funky Necron list that had really funny story during recent days. So first of all, yesterday we finished the GT in Bydgoszcz. First of all, props to the guys for the epic venue. We have like 1 million degrees in Poland right now, so big venue with air conditioning was clutch, was top notch, guys. So big props for that. So I played the new Chaos Knights, and I think I was the only guy, definitely the only guy that took three big fellas, three abhorrents, and it was awesome. I had a blast with this army. I took very decent, in my eyes, 16th place. So I think that's one of, if not the best master class GT result for me. So I took the Abominant with Hour of Terror, with Knight Diabolus, with Vortex Terrors, Winds of the Warp, and Storm Malevolent. Storm Malevolent was from the Twisted Mask relic. So, of course, the Blessing of the Dark Master as a favor, and this guy was pretty much unkillable. So he died once in the whole tournament, and that was partly due to me not giving enough respect to my opponent's forces. So he died just once from the Ravengard aggressors. Yes, from the Fists and from the Flamers. The Trans Hitman 1 and 3 misses are not doing anything when you are hit with, like, I don't know, 10 Flamers, something like 40 hits from Flamers. And also they had +1 to wound against characters, and guess what? He's a character. So yeah, he got pretty melted, and even that he would stand he would live through this charge, through those flamers and all. But my opponent rolled pretty epic 12 inches or 11 inches on his charge when his charge was halved. Yeah, so that was the first thing. He was tanky as hell. The other thing that this guy has been doing for me, the halving charges, the hour after rolling dreads and morals. Morals were not such important, but dreads rolled on 3 dices when he did cast Vortex Terrors on something. I was stacking the minus leadership to up to -4. In one game against Sisters of Battle, the Sororitas, I had the Morven, the Celestine, and some Seraphins failed their 5 inches charges because all of those failed their dread test. So this guy was an MVP from me. I take back every word that I spoke about him during the battle report when I told you he sucks. He does not. And the main issue that people raise with the Abominant is his lack of firepower. With Knight Diabolus on their Iconoclast household, he was packing quite a punch in melee. So I don't know. He's pretty killing machine. 15 attacks, strength 8, -3, 3 damage flat is nothing to be frowned about. His shooting is okay-ish. You should consider this guy more as a Malevolent, in my opinion. So yeah, that's one. Second big knight I had was the Desecrator with Mark of the Dread Knight, so feel no pains on 6 and then on 5s. The objective secured, that is awesome on a big knight. 10 models with this big ass base is just crazy. And of course, when you in my list, when you're talking about the Desecrator, Diamonas. 3 shots, strength 16, -5, 6 plus D3 damage. After like I think 2 games, yeah, I found myself bring it down in each remaining game, just because those were easy points for me. I scored pretty much maximum in every game from Bring It Down. Even if those were just 8, 7, 9 points, I had those points every single game due to this guy, because pretty much every vehicle that he can draw line of sight to, this vehicle was dead. So yeah, that's it. That's this fella. And the third guy, the big knight I took, was the Rampager with Beguiling Majesty, with Bow to None, as I was playing HERPETRAX, and with Veil of Medrengard. Oh my god, this name is crazy. Veil of Medrengard. 4+ invulnerable against shooting, 6+ against melee. This guy was okay-ish. He was beautiful bait. Because when you see a 12-inch move knight that can dish around 24 attacks, strength 8, -4, 2 damage, yeah, people were scared of this guy, and he was the less tanky knight, because he had no feel, no pain, no defensive buffs against shooting, unless you count this 4+ invulnerable. That was just to save some CPs. To not rotate shields on him. So he was doing his part. When he caught something, he killed it. In the game against the Raven Guard, he was pretty much controlling the middle of the table by himself, due to the fact that everything that came to him was dead. Even the Blade Guard veterans with those shields, I just crushed them with crushed like vermin. So yeah, this guy was doing his part. He was not such an awesome pick, but he was doing his part in my list. From the small guys, I have 2 carnivores, one with Blood Shield, one with Pyrotron. Well, the carnivores are awesome. I love those guys. 40 movement, 6 attacks, strength 12, -4. I'm counting the Iconoclast buff. D3 plus 3 damage, awesome. But the favors, oh my god, where do I start with those? Well, the Blood Shield, I didn't trigger a single time. Even when this guy was I did trigger it once. In a whole tournament, I did trigger it once, and I killed 2 Gemini Superior. Yeah, so a Blood Shield is a point sinking for me. Well, I didn't play against Harlequins in this tournament, so maybe I'm a bit biased here, but no, I don't like Blood Shield in current meta. Against Tau with force fields, he didn't even get to charge. He was deleted instantly. So yeah, I think it's very situational, very. The Pyrotron was okay. I had additional deny. The Storm Malevolent giving +1 to wound was doing its part against knights when I was testing this list. Against anything else, the knights, yeah. So the Pyrotron is okay-ish, not as bad as Blood Shield in my opinion in this list, but not so good. Anyway. And to top the list, I had 2 Executioners in the super heavy auxiliary detachment, as the previous knights were all single. They had Dreadblade Fellbond, Dreadblade Fellbond, to have additional +1 to hit against vehicles. And one of those was giving me CPs from the Mirror of Fates. The Mirror of Fates is epic. I had a clutch situations where my opponent was triggering some stratagem in the combat. I regained the CP, and then I had the CP back to trigger some response of my own. So the Mirror of Fate is an insta-pick for me. It's awesome. So yeah, that was my list. 7 knights, 3 big guys, and 2 of those were really hard to move. Abominant especially. Brawl in game number 3, I think he can support that claim that Abominant pretty much tanked half of his army and still didn't die. Yeah, people were really not paying respect to the durability of those favored knights. Other than that, the Dread table, oh my god, where to start? The Dread table, I love it. From turn 2, halving charges, forcing the shooting to the particular knight you put as bait. Turn 3 was little lackluster for me. I really don't know what to pick there, because -1 to shooting is really situational sometimes. And if I'm on Darkness turn 2, I can just go to the Doom. Yeah, Doom on the middle one on turn 3, and that's just combat attrition modifier. So yeah, not so bad against some armies, not so good against some. And from the turn 4 onwards, there are again astounding buffs, like another -2 to leadership, forcing Sororita's characters to lose their charges. Yeah, or even removing obstacle when you need it. So awesome table. I love it. I love those rules. So coming back to my games. First game was against Tau. It was, I think, a pretty not standard list. I'm not really into the loop what's Tau playing right now, aside from the spam of Crisis Suits, Shadow Sun, Commander, Ethereal. Yeah, and that's the core. That was the core of the army. So 3 Hammerheads. Yeah, so 3 Hammerheads against my knights. Enough to say I lost 16-4. Small knights were pretty much erased by a shot, even though I did start one of the Hammerheads get into the reserves from the example of Kion. Yeah, it was pretty brutal game, but most of all it was brutal because of the Crisis Suits. Like you probably guessed, the list was based around big guys. Sorry, like I mentioned, it's 100 degrees here. So the list was based around big guys. So losing a small knight against a Tau that was a bit shuffled into the corner at the start was not a big issue for me. But the Crisis Suits erased like 1.5 of the big knight in a turn before he got to get favored. So that was pretty brutal. I'm really interested, because that's what's important. I maybe forgot to mention it at the start. This GT was our, I think, last tournament in Poland played on the old points without new Dataslide. So the Tau and the Tyrannids were at the top of their game. So yeah, the Crisis Suits, I'm really interested to see how they will play right now, because it's +5 points for Crisis Suits, 5+ for the Plasma, and another +3 for the Shield Drone that you can count as a part of the Crisis Suits right now. So +13 points per model. In fact, that's a really big nerf. So I'm really interested to see what the Tau will do with those nerfs. Game number 2. Game number 2 was playing against Genocult. So pretty interesting game for me. I underestimated Genocult. Genocult really underestimated me. So I did start, but due to the blips that Genocult is deploying, I had no idea how to position my knights. That was pretty crucial for me. So after first turn charges from Aberrants, I didn't lose a knight, but he was really badly... No, I did. I did lose a Desecrator. The Aberrants did manage to take him down, so that's nothing to be frowned about. But I managed to win this game by 15-5, I think. The Genocult really didn't have anything to deal with my knights again, aside from the Aberrant, the vehicles that I did manage to take before they had even chance to move or shoot, and to some extent the Patriarch. I didn't manage to kill the Patriarch whole game because he was deep striking and moving to reserves all game long, even though I had some opportunities to do it. So after killing the vehicles, the Aberrants and the Patriarch jumping all around the table, the game was pretty calm from my perspective, because I was just removing those guys, and Gogi had to play. I saw in his eyes that he had to play not along his plan, with movements under the risk of halving the charges again. So again, this ability was clutch. He made most of his charges, but he had to expose himself to have those charges on like 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches tops. So yeah, that was... I think it was pretty safe to say it was really one-sided game from our perspective. So yeah, I think we may have to think how to kill unkillable knights again. So maybe it's not the Castellan meta all over again, but who knows? But we need to consider how to kill something like that. Game 3 was Brawl with his Orcs. He started. We had really aggressive deployments. We both threw our forces as close as we can, and we moved all the markers, objective markers, as close as we can to the center of the battlefield. So he started. He managed to charge my big knights turn 1 with his Mega Nobs and his Warboss. The Mega Nobs did their part, damaging the one of the big knights pretty significantly, and forcing the heroic charge from the Rampager with the fight on death from the Warboss. So even though I killed the Warboss, he managed to smack the Desecrator to the ground. But after this first blow, he bounced. So the orcs really bounced from the knight's wall. I managed to slowly move all my knights across the battlefield. The creme de la creme of this game was, like I mentioned, Abominant, tanking like, I don't know, 3 charges from the Snaga boys, from the Warboss on the whale, some shots from tank bastas. It was all over the place. And in the return, he managed to kill the Warboss in just one go with those 15 damage 3 attacks. So if you manage to kill a big Warboss on the squeak with just one fight phase, I'm happy with that, and that's not a lackluster melee for me. So yeah, the game ended in the table from the Orcs round 3, so I had 2 rounds of scoring for myself. Unfortunately, like I mentioned, the game was pretty one-sided at the start, so I just managed to score 13 points in that game. but it was really fun game from my side with those knights. Some of those knights falling early and another tanking insane amounts of combat. So that was the conclusion of day one. I think I finished day one something around 15th place, 12th place, something like that. And then moving to day two. Day two, I started with very interesting list. Sisters with addition of 3 Halverines. And I was really surprised when I took one because Halverines were insta priority threat for me. Especially they had a bond that gave them +1 shooting to vehicles and +1 damage against Titanic units. So hello, I was very happy to see them on the table. And I was very surprised that Max told me that I'm the first guy on the tournaments focusing those Halverines. Okay. But I managed to kill one, I think, at the start of the game. We had a really funny interaction where his Halverines were shooting mine, and mine executioners were shooting his Halverines, and I managed to kill one. He managed to pump like 6 wounds into one of my executioners. So it started good. Unfortunately, it was very defensive setup, the very defensive table, with ruins, big ruins being directly on top of the objectives, and it was pretty dense for my knights to move from the deployment. So I managed to secure some of his objectives by round 5, not sooner. Even though it was the game where the halving charges was top notch. Like I mentioned, Morven not charging, Celestine not charging, Seraphims not charging. It was pretty clutch for me to have those charges fail. So Abominant again, he was the MVP because he was forcing those 3 dice dread tests. I lost this game 14-7. I'm pretty happy with that result because he had really anti-knighty list with the Malta squad, with those 3 Halverines, with the Repentias that can also put a dent in the knight. Fortunately, they didn't manage to this game, so I was really happy. And of course, the defensive table. Even though I lost, it was really small loss, and it was a good game. And the final game of the tournament was against the Ravengard. So I have been really not calmly coming to this game because we were fighting around mid of the table. And when you're fighting in the mid of the table, you know that the list at least has to play something, and it has to be good. So I was really missing something in the Ravengard list, and I was very pleasantly surprised to see it was working so nicely. So big props to my opponent. Unfortunately, I forgot your name. So Mateusz. So props to you for that list. It had 2 those new Primaris land speeders packed with rockets and meltas, 2 dreadnoughts with plasmas, and those aggressors I mentioned at the start of the game. And the aggressors pretty much saved a lot of points for Mateusz, because even though I won this game 14-6, it was not an easy game. It has been really demanding to plan the moves, to plan those 2 disruptions against those Ravengard that can also jump around the table, especially that I didn't manage to kill the last of those speeders. That cost me 2 points from the Bring It Down. And this speeder at the last round of the game did manage to kill one of additional small knights and score another 2 points for Mateusz. So I think it costed me around at least one big point in the final score, and in result at least 1 place in overall tournament. So, but anyway, it was really fun game. I was really happy to see that even though I was melting those Raven Guards all over the place, something like pack of aggressors can really do their job. So yeah, 16th place in overall, 3 big knights list. So I'm especially happy that I managed to take the 3 big guys and make them work. For the upcoming list after the changes to the Dataslide and to the points, as this list was playing with 6 CPs right now, because all big knights were packed to the teeth with relics and traits, and I was also playing 6th slot for the Halberines. So I think the 6th slot will go away. I'm thinking even about replacing those Executioners Halberines with Stalkers, with Melta and the Swords, because this list is really about going forward to the enemy. So I need all the knights that can fight, and the Executioners don't fight. Also, the autocannons were okay, but I think they were a bit underwhelming overall. With the Armor of Contempt, with all those invulnerables right now, those -2 is not cutting it again. So I'm thinking about swapping them with the Malta guys. First of all, because of the combat, and second of all, because the Meltas. Also, the Bloodshield, like I mentioned, is going away. Maybe the Pyrotron will also go away, and maybe I'll squeeze some summoning. But I think I was the only Chaos Knight without the summoning, and it worked. It worked really fine. Although I was struggling with picking secondaries from time to time, so maybe the 5 of the Furies to score something. I don't know. We'll think about it. We'll definitely get back to it in the next episodes, because I'm not planning to part ways with those Chaos Knights from my part. So yeah, that's the first topic that I wanted to talk about today. The second one, the Dataslide, the points, and the most funky list that I ever created, that was doing okay-ish, and now is contender for the competitive list in my book. And from what I was reading on our Polish Discord, not only in my book, with some different variations. So the list that I created after the Necron Codex dropped was something like that: Silent King, 2 Monoliths, Nightbringer, 20 Warriors, and I think before the first point drops, it was just a Chronomancer to top it out. I don't know if it had any Scarabs or anything like that. It was really packed, because the Silent King and the Monoliths were over 1,300 points, something like that. It was, like you can guess, a really unplayable list, but I managed to score some victories against the Drukhari back there. So I had a really good time with this list, with those Monoliths. Then the first point dropped. I don't know, it was previous points, like half year ago, something like that. And both Monoliths were dropped around, I think, 30 points, something around this. Some other drops, and the list managed to squeeze another squad of either the Scarabs or the Destroyers or something like that. It was even better, even though I didn't play it back then. But another unit is another unit in the list. And now, suddenly, first the point drops, and the whole list drops around 300 points. Something like that, because both the Monoliths, the Silent King, the Chronomancers, the Technomancers, everything dropped for the Necrons. And the combo, it was not even a combo back there, of Silent King and Monoliths dropped from 1,000, around 300 points, to just 1000. The Nightbringer also dropped 15 points. Awesome. So I was like, cool, I will play it again. Squeeze even more units, maybe it will do something, but still listen to Monoliths. And then day after, the Dataslide. And I was like, what the hell just happened? Monoliths with full reroll, Silent King with racing his pylons, being pretty much immortal or something around 40 wounds, something around that, with counting all those resurrections. The protocols being one is active whole game, so my monoliths can heal up to 2 wounds every turn. I was like, what the hell just happened with this list? So yeah, I guess the final list will swap the monolith for obelisks. Even though the monoliths has bigger firepower, more funky teleport shenanigans, but they don't fly. And squeezing a monolith on the WTC table can be a painful experience. So I will have to play some games with both, and then we will see. On the other hand, loss blocking and move blocking, the only path to objective, for example, with the 30 wounds, big ass monolith with OPSEC is also sounding like fun. Yeah, but we'll see. So the core of the list is pretty much unchanged. The Chronomancer and now the Technomancer also to raise the pylons. Silent King, 2 Pyramids. We will see which ones. Warriors, Immortals, 2 squads right now, so you can have 3 troop choices. And then some destroyers, the Locust ones. And maybe some squads to top out the melee and some cheap chaff like the Scarabs. Now you have points to all of this, for all of this. So we will see. I'm really, really excited to see how this particular list will now play. Especially that, like I said, I created it right after the Codex dropped, and it was the most funky list I think I ever created. And I played Ghazghkull on 500 points on one of our events. So yeah, we will see, and I will definitely get back to you with the results about this one. So yeah, I think those were the topics for today. I hope you like this form of a bit more funkiness in our competitive content. Tell me what you think to talk about. Maybe give me some ideas about crazy lists to test out. And yeah, if you like it, I will keep creating another episodes of this ICONOCLAST competitive casual. If you don't like it, I will just stick to big cameraman. So yeah, that's it from me. See you in the next episode, and see you in the next battle report that we will create somewhere around early July, early August. We will see. You will have another battle report during the holiday time for sure. So Vitalis signing off till the next time. Thank you.